GOAT. I think if you look at John Jones' early career, right? John Jones wins the title in 2011, and from then on has fought more fights as championship fights than he has other fights. So he's the most accomplished for sure.
I guess the clarifying question then is, if Dana and Hunter do come to you after this fight, the figures make sense to you, would you then be open to fighting Tom Aspinall, or are you categorically thinking, he does nothing for me, I will not fight that guy?
He does nothing for me. He does nothing for me. If you're a person that wants to see me really challenged, I get it. I'm 7 years younger, like 35 pounds bigger than me.
Dana White has just dropped some huge news about the mega fight everyone's been waiting for. Tom Aspinall against John Jones. UFC heavyweight champion Jones has kept us all guessing about his fighting future since that knockout win over 42-year-old former champ Stipe Miocic last November. Jones has made it crystal clear, he only wants fights that will cement his legacy.
Tom and John, Tom released that video blog a few days ago on the train where he was saying, like, John's side is holding up the fight. What is he referring to there?
Well, I think that, listen, John Jones definitely wants to fight. Just when and where is what we're working on now.
Do you feel confidence? I think you said John.
I'm very
in
confident
summer on first
that fight happens. Yeah.
Summer.
But there's no denying who deserves the next title shot. British interim champion Tom Aspinall. This guy has absolutely torn through the heavyweight division on his incredible rise to the top. He's been unstoppable.
Like, that guy's, he's something special. He really is something special. He's a very unusual example. Because he's a heavyweight, he's a big guy, really big guy, but he moves so fast, like extraordinary compared to other heavyweights. Like, he just moves in. It's all like fast, explosive movements. So he's got natural speed, and he's also got a lot of training to execute quickly. So when he moves in, he closes the gap. You can see, like...
Joe Rogan can't stop praising Tom Aspinall for his incredible speed and amazing skill set. Rogan truly believes Aspinall has what it takes to give John Jones a real challenge. He's constantly pointing out how Aspinall moves like a middleweight despite being a heavyweight, something you almost never see in this division.
Tom Aspinall fights Pavlich and takes that fight on 2 weeks' notice and becomes the interim champion.
That is
also
crazy.
Though he's a heavyweight, he doesn't have to cut
Yeah, that's
weight.
what I'm just gonna say. The bigger guys, I think, is not quite the same.
He's not quite the same. Doesn't have to cut weight, which is a giant factor, so he doesn't have to do massive amounts of cardio, and he can literally just let his body heal.
Rogan is convinced that Aspinall's speed, athleticism, and well-rounded skills could seriously test Jones. Sure, with Jones's experience, fight IQ, and dominance, it wouldn't be easy for Aspinall, but Rogan firmly believes Aspinall has the tools to make this a real fight. Despite being seen as a once-in-a-generation talent and the symbol of a new era at heavyweight, Jones has repeatedly brushed off the idea of fighting the younger, heavier Brit. He's made it publicly clear many times that he has zero interest in unifying the belts against Aspinall. But here's the bombshell. According to UFC President Dana White, that stance has completely changed. Jones has finally agreed to step into the cage with Britain's finest. Now everyone's focus is shifting to when and where this epic showdown will happen. Jones definitely wants the fight now, White revealed. We're working on when and where. Jones has an incredibly strong case as the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. He became the UFC's youngest ever champion at just 23 when he defeated Shogun Rua for the light heavyweight title back in 2011. Since then, he's remained virtually untouchable, going unbeaten since first claiming gold and engaging in one of the most heated rivalries in UFC history with Daniel Cormier. After a 3-year break, Jones returned in 2023 to prove he was still the man to beat, dismantling Cyril Gane with ease to become a 2-division champion. But now fans believe the biggest threat to his supremacy has emerged, and that threat is Tom Aspinall.
As announced, everything's set for his fight with John Jones. I believe that. Contrary, I cannot allow a story to be told inaccurately. You can hate on John all you want. You just gotta do it within confines of reality. And I gotta tell you, while John began to publicly negotiate right after his fight with Stipe.
American promoter Chael Sonnen has been pushing back hard against this story that Jon Jones is the one delaying the fight. According to Sonnen, just because Jones has mentioned figures like $30 million or $50 million during public negotiations doesn't mean he's not serious about fighting. Sonnen firmly believes that once the UFC officially sets a venue and date, Jones will accept the fight. Right now, there's absolutely nothing to suggest otherwise.
Be a Jon doing exactly what he was in the right and in the confines to do. Then you play the venue game, play the date game, talk to everybody and make sure they're healthy and happy and square it up with the commission. And, there's a lot of steps that you get to, then you make those damn phone calls. And Tom Aspinall has come out and said it's done, they've come to terms.
Chael Sonnen sees Alex Pereira's potential move to heavyweight as more than just a competitive step. It's a strategic goldmine for the UFC. But Sonnen points out that these strategic elements fade away when the focus is purely on competition. If it's just about fighting, then it simply comes down to who's the best in the cage, regardless of titles or all the politics behind matchmaking.
Jones and Aspinall done, what are you going to do? And what are you going to do? How do you solve that problem? You call Surreal? And what do? You put Surreal with Aspinall? Do you? That would do something, but I'm just saying, do you feel the difference? And that's where it would be so helpful to have Pereira at heavyweight. Just purely as a bargaining chip.
The main takeaway is that Sonnen views Pereira's status at light heavyweight as his most valuable asset, both for matchmaking and his standing in the UFC. Moving up to heavyweight would change everything, including the need for a fight with Ankalaev, since—
That's right. If Aspinall has been informed correctly, it would change my opinion. And I quickly would jump right on board with Gear Ankalaev rematch. If we're keeping Gear in the weight class of 205, you gotta give him the rematch. You could justify not if you take him out of the damn weight class, but this changes things, right? That piece on the board was the most valuable thing that Gear had. Gear versus Aspinall is not as powerful as Gear being a substitute.
Bursting onto the UFC scene in 2020, Tom Aspinall has absolutely demolished the heavyweight division. All but one of his victories have ended in the first round. That's how dominant he's been. Despite this incredible run, the UFC initially seemed more interested in pushing Russian powerhouse Sergey Pavlovich, even positioning him as the backup for Jon Jones's scheduled fight against Stipe Miocic back in 2021. But when Jones pulled out due to injury and Miocic refused to face the rising contender, Aspinall stepped up on just 2 weeks' notice and knocked out Pavlovich in a jaw-dropping 1 minute and 9 seconds to claim the interim heavyweight title. Aspinall then defended his belt against Curtis Blaydes, avenging his only UFC loss, which happened because of a freak knee injury just 15 seconds into their first fight. After securing this win, Aspinall immediately called out Jon Jones in his own respectful yet confident way, saying, "Hello Jon, I have nothing against you personally, but I just think I'm better than you. I know I can beat you in a fight." Despite this polite challenge, Jones showed almost no interest in facing the Brit, even calling him an a-hole multiple times. But after months of speculation and stalled negotiations, it finally looks like progress is being made towards securing this highly anticipated fight. According to UFC President Dana White, Jones has at last agreed to step into the octagon with Aspinall, and now they're focused on finalizing all the details. While nothing's officially confirmed yet, this matchup has skyrocketed to the top of fans' most anticipated bouts. Every top-ranked UFC heavyweight is watching this situation closely, as the outcome of a Jones versus Aspinall showdown could completely reshape the entire division. Discussions about a potential unification fight have been ongoing since before Jones's victory over Miocic at UFC 309. And while Dana White hasn't finalized the details yet, both fighters seem close to agreeing on a date and location. Among those backing Aspinall is Mick Parkin, the 13th ranked UFC heavyweight who has trained extensively with the interim champion. Parkin describes Aspinall as incredibly fast, powerful, and in his prime, suggesting that Jones, despite his legendary status, may no longer be training with the same intensity he once did. In an interview with Bloody Elbow, Parkin speculated, "Jon Jones is amazing. He's no easy challenge, but maybe he's not training as intensely. I don't know, it just doesn't look like he trains as much. He's definitely a little bit older, and if there's ever a time to beat him, it's now." He further praised Aspinall, calling him the most dangerous fighter in the division. "Tommy is just going from strength to strength. The way he moves, the speed he has, it's unreal. He's coming into his prime now, and I do think he beats Jon Jones." For Aspinall, however, his biggest strength isn't just his striking, wrestling, or jiu-jitsu, it's his decision-making under pressure. In a recent interview, he credited his ability to make the right choices in the heat of battle as the key factor that separates him from the rest of the division. It's about making the right decisions at the right time, Aspinall explained. My skill set is good, but so is everyone else's. Being in the gym since I was 10 years old has sharpened my decision making, and my dad always emphasized training the eyes, improving reaction time. I don't think many people do that. I believe my decision making is the best in the division by far. Meanwhile, UFC commentator Joe Rogan has once again declared Jon Jones the greatest fighter of all time. Outside of a controversial 2009 disqualification loss to Matt Hamill in a fight he was dominating, Jones has never suffered a true defeat in his MMA career. The former longtime light heavyweight champion proved his dominance once again after a 3-year hiatus, returning to claim a second belt by submitting Cyril Gane at UFC 285 before successfully defending his title with a decisive finish over Stipe Miocic at UFC 309. Speaking on the Joe Rogan Experience, Rogan marveled at Jon's unparalleled longevity, stating, "He has been a world champion for 14 years. That is unheard of." While Rogan acknowledged the greatness of legends like Georges St-Pierre, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and Demetrius Johnson, he ultimately concluded that Jones's resume sets him apart, having defeated generations of elite competition from Shogun Rua to Alexander Gustafsson and Daniel Cormier. However, former UFC fighter and analyst Chael Sonnen believes that a fight between Jones and Aspinall is inevitable. Initially, Jones was set to face Miocic in a highly anticipated matchup, as many consider Miocic to be the greatest heavyweight of all time. But with Aspinall's rapid rise and Jones now seemingly willing to accept the challenge, the UFC may finally be on the verge of booking one of the biggest fights in heavyweight history.
Hardest fight of his career, who they say is the greatest heavyweight we've ever had, ends up getting hurt, can't do the fight. Insert the gentleman, Sergey Pavlich. You then told Jon Jones that he would not fight Sergey Pavlich. In Sergey's very next fight, he went down to a British gentleman called Tom Aspinall. I mean, as sure as night follows day, Tom Aspinall is the guy. And John's looking around and going, hey, one thing at a time, and I got this thing. And while you guys are trying to pull me over the Alex Pereira direction and you're pulling him in the Tom direction, I can't let...
Sonnen dismisses the notion that Jones is avoiding Aspinall, emphasizing that regardless of the outcome against Miocic, a showdown with Aspinall is inevitable. He views Aspinall as the next dominant force in the heavyweight division, making it impossible for Jones to overlook him. Jon fights Stipe, he fights Tom. What if Stipe beats him? Go ahead and beat him. Stipe is sincerely retiring after this fight, so if Stipe beats Jon and we now have a vacated title, it's Jon versus Tom. If Jon gets over on Stipe, Tom's going to be sitting right there in the front row with his nice, beautiful, shiny belt, and Jon standing there talking to Joe Rogan with his nice, shiny belt. The fight will be made right there, Joe.